Pornography artists, do you ever get turned on looking at your own art while / after you are working on it? If so, how did that turn out? The idea at first turns me on, but then I start worrying over the shading and everything, so it took me like 3 hours to finish the shading on your left lip. LMFAO. At first I was like, it's upper lip, man, then I realized, oh, that lip. Not if you're Picasso. Note, Picasso sounds like huge dick in Portuguese. You're thinking of Picasso, the painter that paints with his dick. I don't even want to know how long it took for the right, upper, and bottom lip. It's Napoleon Dynamite reference. Tina eats some ham. Do the chickens have large talons? Boy, I don't understand a word you just said. I see you're drinking 1%. Is that because you think you're fat? 'Cause you're not. You could drink whole milk if you wanted to. If I don't have a boner while working on something, I know I'm doing it wrong. That's weird for a dentist to say. That's weird for the coroner to say. Edit, thank you kind stranger for the award. Also for a priest. Probably not as unusual as you'd think. R/pastor arrested, Reddit link. Law and Order, Special Victims Unit. That's the spirit. Sir, this is a Wendy's. I edit mostly, don't make art myself, and it happens whenever I suddenly drop out of the zone. Usually I'm zoomed in too much, focused on the color changes, or thinking about how I should get this to blend, and what other changes I want to make. If I'm making a particular sexy change, I'll just jack off, and it might stop that editing session, which I resume later. I need to learn to blend shade. I've seen a video and nodded along, then by the end I have no idea how the F he managed to visualize and execute it. Some doujins I'm coloring now don't need it, but would be an interesting bit to get into. We'll say, I did a basic color on a double-deck doujin and it got relatively popular. Enough that an actual colorist looked at it and I guess thought he could do better, and absolutely did doing the full works. Lamau. Not really. I only draw nasty stuff digitally, so I'm almost always zoomed in on a tiny piece of the drawing rather than looking at the whole thing. It's also really hard to tell if your work is even any good after staring at it for 6 to 8 hours, let alone if it makes you horny. I feel this. I just recently started drawing digital erotica and I was way too busy trying to make the genitals perfect to get turned on, lol. This. Too busy focusing on making sure all the bits and bobs look proportional enough that it turns people on to get turned on myself. Proportional. We must be looking at different digital porn. No, not that sort of proportional. You mean the bits and the boobs, right? Pretty sure they meant vaginas and bobs. Milk truck just arrive, police light. Got to get those scrotal folds just right. I felt like that in the life drawing class I took a million years ago. My friends were amazed that I got to look at naked women, and men, but it was hard to explain that they were just shapes and lines and shadows in that class. I can't get her hand to look right, what do I care that her breast is showing? This. I totally understand why people might think drawing jiggly bits is arousing, but we're literally trained to see shapes. I remember after a really intensive semester in art school full of model drawing being in a sexy situation and glancing at my now husband's elbow and getting completely distracted by realizing that angle would be such a bitch to draw because it's foreshortened in that way that doesn't look right, so you have to decide whether or not to draw it accurately and have it look a bit wonky, or fudge it so it's technically wrong but looks right, lol. Also, there is nothing quite like the fear of drawing a nude model for the first time and knowing that they want to walk around the room afterwards and look at our drawings. I've been that model. Looking at the drawings after was my favorite part. That and watching the boys trying to make eye contact with me after I was dressed. They were cool when I was nude, they got awkward after I was clothed. Cracked me up. I know just what you mean about everything just being shapes and shades. Once I'm in that headspace, it's like the subject itself doesn't even register as much. That mindset is easy to stay into, and you start to think about how you draw and paint people around you and what would be fun or hard. People that aren't traditionally attractive are sometimes the most fun to paint/draw because they're interesting, wrinkles in particular. Oh my, drawing hands. It's a step above holding hands. Careful now, you might get pregnant. /r/exposed safe hands, Reddit link. You forgot Rule 34. Enhance. 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 Now clear up the image. Focus. No, on the part right there. That's it. We're turned on by bad computer imaging technology. Teach me, because I had times where I enjoyed myself over 10 times within a few hours while drawing. Given, now that I've grown older, I don't really get that turned on that easily anymore, but even if I ended up drawing a stick figure at the time or something similar, it was enough for me to drop my pants, lol. Though, the longer I draw the same piece, the less it gets me until I completely lose interest. 10 times? I want to see this eldritch art. It's not that difficult if you are young, bored and full of hormones. 10 times in a few hours is not easy even by teenager standards. You guys are Olympic meat beaters. Does my answer count if I write erotica? Because I did a couple of times, though I never ended up finishing the piece. I would just get in such a mood and start writing it and lose control, and then afterwards I'd get so embarrassed by what I wrote I think I deleted most of it. You just got to put that crap out in the world. Let your freak flag fly. I write some wild things, who cares? It feels good when you post it out in the world. I hope you find the courage to do so. Posting is almost as exhilarating as writing it. Pen name's my friend and don't let anything link to any social. Penis. I posted mine in the private family group. Figured it'd be safe to see what family thinks about it before showing it to my friends. That's brave, I admire that. Step bro, what are you doing? Coming in Uncle Frank, what the F are you doing? Uncle Frank? You moron, it was Uncle Terry who offered us the $100. Wait, there was money involved? What the F, Frank? No, swallow first, and then explain yourself. Effing cheapskates. My family's opinions are crap. Give it to the friend group text for a real flogging. Post-orgasm clarity is a problem that must be overcome on a person-by-person basis. It's the driving force behind fleshlight resales. Nobody wants to clean them after they've already nutted. Not horny you had to come to terms with horny you. Just use a coconut. Can't be disgusted by what you can't see. I believe some kind of box can also be used and used and used. It's the driving force behind fleshlight resales. That's enough internet for today. This was something I had not thought of before. When I was a teen, I kept trying to write stories and I kept running into a similar problem, even though it wasn't erotica. I would let my horny drive the story, and then when I busted a nut, I'd realize how weird what I wrote was. That happens a lot with me when I try to draw hentai. It depends. Some commission of a weird character or fetish I'm not into? Then it's just work. Actual art I'm making for myself/my portfolio? Then hell yes, getting that sexual energy out onto the canvas is a part of the process, and it's what makes the art good. I second this. When it's my own stuff and I'm drawing content I like, then yeah, I can get a little turned on. F. I got butterflies reading that because I know exactly what you're talking about. I am an 18+, kink, fetish photographer, and I definitely agree with this. Being able to model and direct someone to get the results you want pleases something deep within me, and being able to get that out onto my portfolio is very sexually satisfying, even if it's not sexual in the moment. I'm a wedding and portrait photographer. I met a couple who really liked their friends' pictures, so they booked me for what I thought it was a sexy shoot of both of them. When I got to their place, they sat me down and told me they wanted to do something more extreme. I thought some tit and a dick flash once in a while, but no, that was not it. They offered me 3 times the money if I took pictures of them having sex. I asked them to give me a few minutes to think about it. Called my wife and told her the situation, and she agreed in not the best tone ever. The shoot took 15 minutes, and what a ride that was. I showed them the pictures and they approved of them all, no problem. It literally took me way too long to edit them, since I would start to edit and reminding of what happened that day would get me extremely horny, and the only way to get it out my system was to take it out on my wife. I'm never doing that again, even though it was really cool to experience edit. My wife knew I was going to be turned into a horny teen again. That's the only reason she agreed to let me do this, and oh boy did it turn out to be true. The couple became really good customers of mine and have brought me a lot of new clients. I had to buy me a new long-range lens once the corona hit, and for that they get 50% off at any time they book me. Some of those pictures were printed in huge 24 by 36 prints and were shipped out to their swinger friends, and of course I was offended one, but I kindly declined. My wife already told me I could do as many of those shoots as I want, but I think one for enough for me. Haha, sounds like it was good and bad time. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the breast of times, it was the worst of times. The sale of 2 titties. Dickens. It was the best of times, it was the blurst of times? You stupid monkey. It was a hard time. Not the best tone ever. Crap, I bet. Yeah, at that point it would have to be a no for me. Not worth the risk of her being super pissed later. Yeah, at that point it would have to be a no for me. Not worth the risk of her being super pissed later. This is why we laid out ground rules of honesty and openness. If you truly have doubts, tell them, and if you don't feel comfortable, say it. And if you agree despite having doubts, you want to do it. Else you say, I have my doubts and I'd feel better if you didn't do it. And if you can't come to a conclusion, or you have doubts without making a final call, the consent isn't there, so it's a no. So if my wife agreed to it in a bad tone, I'd definitely do it because I know she weighed options out and made a decision. Same, I thought for sure that was the part right before he noped the F out. And the fact she was there to work out his horniness from the photos he took is beautiful. She's the MVP in this story. Your wife already told you could do as many as you wanted? Bro, I think she liked it when you took it out on her. Props to your wife, because wow, a lot of people would be extremely uncomfortable with Aso doing that. I mean, it's just like watching porn IRL. He wasn't cheating or anything, he was just watching and was actually getting paid. I bet there is a word for it. There is. The word is work. It's even better than work, because you aren't the one getting effed. I lol Ed. My husband isn't a photographer, but if he was and he called me and said he was offered 3x's normal pay to do that, I'd be like, ha ha ha, go for it. I'd feel super awkward if I were the one taking the photos, though. There's no props or judgment to be given here whatsoever. Different relationships have different boundaries. Some are very monogamous and this would absolutely not be okay. Some would be okay with him joining in if he wanted. Neither is bad or good, just what works for the relationship. My girlfriend does photography and someone offered her a lot of money to do that and she turned it down. I told her to do it, but she said she wouldn't have been comfortable doing it. I'd be concerned it was also an attempt to get her to join in. Plot twist, it was POV porn. Plot twist, the couple just had a kink for being watched. Plot twist, they weren't even getting married. I hope you only left watermarks on those pictures. 70% water. 30% people. I get turned on when I get the idea. I get turned on when I start planning the composition. I get turned on doing any reference gathering. I get mildly aroused when starting the sketch. I get into the sketch. I am met with my own failures as an artist. I suffer through to the final sketch. I take a break to cry. I start the line art. I think, crap, this is awful. This is the worst thing ever drawn. What is that, a hand? Because it looks like crap. I take another crying break. Somehow I stop crying long enough to finish the line art. I lay out the flat colors with no emotion whatsoever. I start rendering. I actually get really into the rendering. I get the lighting on the knees just right. I think, actually, this doesn't suck. This might be okay. I might post this somewhere. I suddenly remember it's porn. I make a mental note to only post it to the not suitable for work accounts. I move on to the face. Crap, I just remembered I suck at faces. I put in one shadow. It's terrible. I take another crying break. I throw some shading and highlights around. I'm sick of looking at it. I can't even tell if it's good or if it sucks anymore. I put in some final textures and effects. I title it something like lol dicks or whatever. I post it immediately before I look away from it long enough to think it's the worst art ever made. I wait for that one like on Twitter to happen. I feel validated enough to not cry myself to sleep. I spend 3 hours trying to sleep but just get horny instead. I take out my bedside notebook and write down some ideas for another. I never touch them again. Months later, inspiration strikes again and I actually have time to draw something. And thus, the cycle of bullcrap repeats. Edit. All these people asking to see my art, expecting busty anime girls, but few will know I just draw gross old middle-aged men doing gross things with each other, but in a tender and loving way. Also, I haven't had a chance to really draw anything not suitable for work lately because of work and school, and my overall art style is rapidly and drastically changing as of late, so I'm not 100% confident showing art from last year that looks nothing like what I do now. Edit 2. There's two kinds of people in the replies: fellow artists and people who are unfamiliar with the creative process and are very concerned. Don't worry, this is slightly hyperbolic. Also, most people hate their own work because we've been staring at it for so long and know what we wanted it to look like and can see all of its flaws front and center. Usually after a few months I'll look at it again and either have a wow, I drew that? But it's so good moment, or a wow, look how much better I've gotten, I shouldn't give up after all moment. I don't even draw porn, but damn, this is my whole art process as well. I too am turned on when coming up with ideas for my suitable for work art. I bet your art is kick-ass. It's porn, his art is all ass. Sometimes it kisses ass. Sometimes it kicks ass. And sometimes, just sometimes, the ass kisses back. Hentai is art. Here in Australia it's illegal. Pretty sure AskReddit is designed to suck in all the porn artists so we can see what's in their post history. Thank you for watching. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube. And share them with your friends. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. We welcome your comments below. Another of our videos will begin shortly.